You found yourself on another edition of Let 'Em Know Kings United, and on today's episode, very bad night for Sacramento and Chicago. While the Kings fell into the trap game of the second night of the back-to-back against the New Orleans Pelicans, the Chicago Bulls just don't get it. We got a lot to talk about and a lot of venting for me to do. This is Let 'Em Know Kings United. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time for the post-game reaction podcast of the Cleveland Cavaliers, Sacramento Kings, and the Chicago Bulls. This is Let 'Em Know Kings United. Let 'em know, nation. You know what time it is. Welcome to another edition of Let 'em Know Kings United, the Cleveland Cavaliers, Sacramento Kings, and Chicago Bulls post-game reaction podcast. And I am your host, Scarlett Weisberg. Thank you so much for tuning into today's show. And you can find Let 'em Know Kings United, which is 100% completely free and available on Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Radio Public, Pandora, and wherever else you want to listen to this show. Give the show a follow on the platforms. If you could please turn on your notifications so you know about the next episode. Please rate, spread the word out to your friends, and give Let 'Em Know Kings United a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you are listening to this on. It is a great way to support the podcast, and I appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in. Well, unlike last night's episode, or yesterday's episode, I should say, when I talked about two dominant wins from the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Sacramento Kings, I'm here to talk about two losses, one from the Sacramento Kings and another one from the most complacent team in the NBA, and I'm going to talk about the Chicago Bulls. But first and foremost, I want to talk about the Sacramento Kings' recent loss to the New Orleans Pelicans by a final score of 129-93. With this loss, the Sacramento Kings' 6-game winning streak is unfortunately snapped, and they fell in to the second game of the back-to-back trap. Now, I will say that this wasn't a loss to the point that I was embarrassed to watch the Kings play. I mean, yes, they played absolutely terrible, and they got outscored 34-16 in the third quarter, and we couldn't stop Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson we couldn't even stop Ingram and Williamson. I mean, that was the really big factor of the game. I thought Ingram and Williamson went absolutely off, and unfortunately for the Kings, we couldn't do anything defensively, mostly on Zion. It was a man amongst boys mentality in guarding Zion Williamson, and Zion Williamson was, in Mike Brown's words, a grown-ass man, and the Sacramento Kings were nothing but little boys trying to guard him in the paint. Another thing that I am concerned about for the Sacramento Kings is the injury bug is coming to bite them. I mean, almost everybody was hurt for the Sacramento Kings. Keon Ellis, out for the game, out for last night's game due to injury. Keegan Murray, he had a lower back injury. He did not return to the game. Chris Duarte with a thumb issue. He didn't return to the game. Sasha Vezenkov, he hurt his left thumb. He didn't play. Kevin Huerter with a finger. He came back and played and got to the starting lineup, thank goodness. But De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis were having really, really off nights. Domantas Sabonis only scored 10 points this game, and he had 4 personal fouls. While Brandon Ingram, on the other hand, for New Orleans, hit all 5 of his threes and led all scorers with 31 points. And Zion Williamson dominated the paint by scoring 26 on 12 for 16 shooting. Willie Green, who outcoached Mike Brown all night, from the second quarter on, all credit to Willie Green and the New Orleans Pelicans. They were able to take care of business. Tonight was a glimpse of what we could be. Z and BI are capable of doing this night in and night out. It's good to see them continue to grow and play off of each other. Ingram noted that the synergy he uses with Zion will continue to grow as the two stars get more playing time together. Injuries have short-circuited that in the last 3 seasons. The biggest thing for Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson is they needed to stay healthy. Their talent is through the freaking roof. I gotta give them that, and I gotta respect that. If they could stay healthy, they are one of the most dangerous duos into the NBA. I'm not going to say they are the level of De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis yet. If they continue to stay healthy, they might be right there. But Ingram said, it's just communication. If somebody has it going, you're going to let them keep going. I got to go into the third quarter. There's enough time on the basketball clock, and it's about being patient and getting the best shot on the floor. We both have time to attack and play off of each other. And let me tell you something. Brandon Ingram got hot, and Willie Green was like, you know what? I'm going to let him cook. He's in the kitchen. He's cooking up. I'm going to let him eat. I'm going to let him get him some. I'm going to get him some. And Zion Williamson, let me tell you something. I've seen this dude playing at Duke University, okay? This dude, Zion Williamson, in the Duke Blue Devils, Coach K didn't even want a piece of him, all right? He was very, very athletic in his days in Duke, and he proved it. He proved it tonight as Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson and the New Orleans Pelicans simply took care of business against the Sacramento Kings, who were playing a second night of a back-to-back. But one of these players, De'Aaron Fox, one of our players, refused to place blame on the Kings for a second game of the back-to-back. He didn't want to make the second game of the back-to-back trap game an excuse. And you love hearing that, especially coming from one of the leaders of the Sacramento Kings, that is De'Aaron Fox. He said this, pull nothing from this. Back-to-backs are normal. We just didn't have a good game. Credit to them. They came out, they had a good game, and we just played bad. But at the end of the day, you have games like this. You try to throw that away, and we see them again in 2 days, so we're just trying to prepare for that one. My biggest issue is that the Sacramento Kings have not learned to make adjustments yet. They had the same thing in Houston, where the Houston Rockets and the Sacramento Kings played a 2-game series at the Toyota Center in Houston. The first game, it was really close, but the Houston Rockets got the win. The second game, Houston Rockets smoked that Sacramento Kings pack and dominated the Sacramento Kings all night long. This first game with the New Orleans Pelicans, New Orleans smoked that Sacramento King pack as Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson dominated the Sacramento Kings. The second game coming up in a couple of days on tomorrow, as a matter of fact. I need to see if the Sacramento Kings can learn from the first game and continue to make adjustments. My biggest thing for the Sacramento Kings is we need to get healthy. We need to get healthy right here and now. Because if we don't have Chris Duarte, if we don't have Sasha Vezenkov, if we don't have Keegan Murray, if we don't have Keon Ellis, 4 players that are injured, for example, we might be in trouble, let alone we're missing Alex Len for a couple of games due to an ankle sprain that he had a couple of weeks ago. So it's going to be very tough times for the Sacramento Kings if they don't stay healthy. Last year, the Sacramento Kings were one of the Ironman teams in the NBA, where everybody, for the most part, stayed healthy. But now you look at the Sacramento Kings this season, and I was like, you know what? Maybe this team's a little vulnerable. De'Aaron Fox missed a couple of games. Kevin Huerter missed a game. Chris Duarte is now injured. He might be out for Wednesday's game. Keon Ellis, he's injured. I don't know if he's going to play. Kevin Huerter missed last night's game or Sunday's game against the Dallas Mavericks with a sprained finger. Thank God that he came back last night and played against New Orleans. But my God, the injury bug is the biggest issue for the Sacramento Kings right now. But the biggest thing is that Keegan Murray injured his lower back and did not play in the second half. Chris Duarte sustained a left hand injury and did not return. Simply put, Mike Brown said from the start to the end, they kicked our behind. Or simply put, I'm just going to say it, New Orleans kicked your ass. In every single aspect of the game, the New Orleans Pelicans kicked your ass. We did not show any resistance at all, no matter what we threw out there. Zion was a grown-ass man, and we had no answers for him at all. Obviously, Brandon Ingram got hot in the second half, but we couldn't do anything with Zion tonight. The Sacramento Kings did a really horrible job at defending Zion Williamson. I think they did a terrible job at defending in general, and credit to the New Orleans Pelicans. They knew that Sacramento was playing on a back-to-back. They knew how good that De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis, and the rest of the starting lineup were. And credit to New Orleans, they had a perfect game plan for that. I wish the Chicago Bulls can construct a game plan like Willie Green and the New Orleans Pelicans do. But I'm going to talk about the Bulls in just a second because I have a lot to say about the team from Madison Street. But it's about the New Orleans Pelicans, and they were able to take care of business last night. They shot 54% for the field and 42% from three-point range compared to 37% for the field for Sacramento, 24% from three-point range. The free throw percentage, 81% for the New Orleans Pelicans, 66% for the Sacramento Kings. That is another struggling point that I'm seeing from Sacramento. They need to understand that free throws are valuable, and in order to get back into games, especially when you have rough nights like this, you need to learn how to make your free throws. And I think Sacramento, for the most part, is failing at understanding that at the early point of the season. The rebounds, all New Orleans, 55 to 36 compared to 10 offensive rebounds, 45 of them came on the defensive end. The assist numbers, 38-27 in favor of New Orleans. The points in the paint, 64-40 in favor of New Orleans. Zion Williamson played a really big role at contributing to that stat. It was basically the New Orleans Pelicans night, and the Sacramento Kings, despite the fact that they were competitive and weathered an early storm in the first quarter, did a whole lot of nothing the rest of the game, and the New Orleans Pelicans had a lot of momentum, and they just kept building and building on, and they got themselves a big win over a really good Sacramento Kings team. Harrison Barnes was the only King that did well, 16 points with 4 rebounds and a steal. De'Aaron Fox, 14 points. He was limited to 5 for 18 from the field with 2 rebounds and a steal. Domantas Sabonis was limited to 10 points and 10 rebounds. He had a double-double, but he had 4 personal fouls. That's what happened to Domantas Sabonis. He's normally a guy that gets into a lot of foul trouble, and I'm a little worried about him because sometimes he's a little soft, especially handling the basketball. As far as the New Orleans Pelicans, Zion Williamson was a man amongst boys. 26 points, 12 of 16 for the field with 5 assists, 3 steals, a block, and 3 boards. Brandon Ingram got hot in the second half, and there was no way how the Sacramento Kings could stop him. 31 points with 4 rebounds, 3 assists. He was 5 for 5 from three-point range, 11 for 18 from the field. Jose Alvarado got his first game back, and he got 5 points off the bench with 9 rebounds and 2 assists. Off the bench, Marshall stepped up with 11 points, and Herb Jones had a really great game, 18 points with 7 rebounds and 4 assists. Sometimes you got to give credit to the New Orleans Pelicans, right? It was their night, and the Sacramento Kings couldn't do anything about it. But the biggest thing is the Sacramento Kings need to get healthy come the next game, which is tomorrow, against these same 2 teams. Will the Sacramento Kings get Keegan Murray back? Will they get Chris Duarte back? We'll see. But the Kings have a tough challenge in their hands Wednesday night in New Orleans. Coming up next, the Chicago Bulls just don't get it. They don't get it. And I'll explain why when we come back on Let 'Em Know Kings United. We're back on Let 'Em Know Kings United, and I'm going to try to be short, sweet, to the point in talking about the next team that I'm going to be talking about, is because there's one team in the NBA that has a winning culture and another team that has a culture that just doesn't get it. The Miami Heat school the Chicago Bulls 118-100 last night. The Miami Heat won this game wire to wire. They set the tone right out of the gate, and the Bulls, per usual, they played from behind. Bam Adebayo had a really outstanding game. He set the tone right out of the gate. Jimmy Butler said, we set the tone our last game too. We just let up a bit. So I'm glad that we did not do that. You know what the Miami Heat did? They looked at film. They said, hey, Zach LaVine or DeMar DeRozan are the guys that killed us. We cannot allow those guys to kill us. What do? They make adjustments. That is why on the City Edition jerseys of the Miami Heat, they have this word, culture. They have a culture and a standard that the Miami Heat have. And you know what? No wonder why they were successful. No wonder why they are successful the last couple years. I gotta give Eric Spoelstra and the Miami Heat a whole lot of credit. All the credit in the world. Because these two teams are going on different directions. While the Miami Heat have won 8 of their last 9 games after a 1-4 start to the season, Miami nailed a season-high 17 of 35 three-point attempts for the field, despite sharpshooter Tyler Hero missing his 6th straight game with a right ankle sprain. Eric Spoelstra, who should have been NBA Coach of the Year, said sometimes you do have the opportunities to get better from tough losses. We were all very disappointed with how the fourth quarter went the other night. We felt that we were in control for a large part of the game and rounded up losing the game. That can humble you. The Miami Heat ate a slice of humble pie the other night, and they were like, how can we get better after this loss? Well, not only they got better, they schooled the Chicago Bulls on every single aspect. On offense, defense, rebounding, foul line shooting, and just simply put, the Miami Heat had a better mentality going into the game than the Chicago Bulls. While the Bulls, on the other hand, for the 4th consecutive time, the Bulls faced a large deficit in front of their home fans, falling behind 12-2. Less than 3 minutes in, after Duncan Robinson made 2 early three-pointers. Robinson scored 11 of his 22 points in the first quarter and has at least 1 three-pointer in every game so far this season. Jimmy Butler praised Duncan Robinson last night, as he should. He said when he does cut, he's cutting and he's finishing well at the rim. He's throwing lobs, he's getting layups, he's making the right passes, he's handling the pick and roll. He's so comfortable, he's so confident, just like everyone else is around here. Honestly, I wish Duncan Robinson can bring some leadership to the Chicago Bulls, because he is killing it on every single aspect of the game from the Miami Heat. Meanwhile, there was only one person that I'm going to acknowledge from the Chicago Bulls that looked like he wanted to play, that looked like that he wanted this win, and that was Kobe White. The starting point guard for the Chicago Bulls finished this game with 20 points, including 4 three-pointers. DeMar DeRozan added 15, and Nikola Vucevic scored 18. But let's be honest, Kobe White outplayed the core 3 all night long. Kobe White was aggressive. He was getting to the rim. He had a better mentality of almost everybody in the entire team. And I wish Kobe White could keep it up. I wish Kobe White can keep up this aggressiveness. Kobe White can keep up this intensity, because that is what we need in order for the Chicago Bulls to win games and win games consistently. But unfortunately, we are so pathetic, it is unbelievable. Zach LaVine was limited to 13 points on a season low 9 shots. You mean to tell me that Zach LaVine only took 9 shots in this game after pushing a PR reporter after the win against the Miami Heat? You need to go. You need to go. You are nothing more than a cancer, Zach LaVine. I lost every single ounce of respect for you. every single ounce of respect. And I can guarantee you, any team would see that, and they would be like, oh, this is going to be a problem. We can't handle Zach LaVine's foolishness. Although Zach LaVine wanted to be with a winner, I heard reports say that Zach LaVine won't probably mind with the San Antonio Spurs. He probably wouldn't mind with the Philadelphia 76ers. He probably wouldn't mind with the Miami Heat. And you know what? If Zach LaVine goes to the Miami Heat, I can guarantee you that Eric Spoelstra will mature Zach LaVine in a multiple different direction, because Billy Donovan, he ain't doing shit. He ain't doing jack spit as far as maturing the Bulls, helping the Bulls get ready for games. And Zach LaVine said, we weren't down 20-1, so that's a positive. You know what? That's not a positive, Zach LaVine, because the way we performed this game was pathetic. It was absolutely pathetic with how we came out. Fourth straight game, you wanted to have slow starts at home? And God forbid you're playing the Oklahoma City Thunder tomorrow. Lord knows you don't know how to lock in for 48 minutes. You don't. At least we scored 27 points in the first quarter. I will give the Chicago Bulls that. But my God, the Chicago Bulls just don't know how to play basketball. That's simple. That's simple. The Chicago Bulls are nothing more but an elementary school team with an elementary IQ on the basketball court. I don't know how to further explain this furthermore than the truth. I mentioned before in the last segment how it was men amongst boys. The Miami Heat played like grown-ass men, while the Chicago Bulls were playing like a bunch of little babies. Well, Kobe White was a grown-ass man with a 20-point effort, but my God, if you allow a shooter like Duncan Robinson and a rookie, by the way, named Jaime Jaquez Jr., who scored 19 points, you allow 19 points from a rookie? Like, come on. Are you even reading the scouting report? Do you actually give a damn about winning games? Because quite frankly, the Chicago Bulls just don't even give a rat's you-know-what about winning games. You might as well pack it up. You might as well tank the rest of the goddamn season. I will not be surprised if the Chicago Bulls tank. Because I already know that the Chicago Bulls are going to lose against the Oklahoma City Thunder tomorrow. I already knew that. I already know that we can't stop Shai Gilgeous-Alexander worth a spit. I already knew we couldn't stop Chet Holmgren. We only scored 74 points against the Oklahoma City Thunder in the home opener. Lord knows that might happen again, because the Chicago Bulls are the worst team in the NBA. Because we have a head coach that doesn't know accountability. All he does is chew gum in the sideline and whoop-de-doo strolling on a Sunday afternoon. I don't care. I just do not care about anything related to the Chicago Bulls right now. Alex Caruso, I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry that you're in a really tough situation. Kobe White, you are exempt from the rant because your effort was outstanding. Better effort than the Chicago Bulls did altogether. But the way that we have been playing is absolutely pathetic. It is pathetic, it is inexcusable, and it is disrespectful to the most loyal the most loyal fan base in the entire NBA. The Chicago Bulls are not just an NBA team. Okay? They are a national brand. A brand recognized by almost everybody in the entire world. And right now, the Chicago Bulls are being a disgrace to that brand. And I don't know if the front office understands that. The front office has a choice to make. Whether choose the coach and Billy Donovan or choose the players. Because right now, the front office isn't doing nothing. You want me to come back? You want me to keep covering the Chicago Bulls? I will keep covering the Chicago Bulls. I won't give up on the Bulls, and I won't even give up on the United Center. But sell the team. Sell the team and allow a new direction, because the Chicago Bulls need a new direction. They need new ownership. They need leadership. They just need a brand new team. Tank the rest of the season and give me a brand new team come next year. When we lost Lonzo Ball for the season due to injury, I thought season's over. Season's over before it even started. I don't know if the Chicago Bulls can turn it around. If they do, I'll be shocked, but I don't know. The Bulls, they don't get it. They don't get it. They got a culture that is pathetic, while the Miami Heat have a culture that says the standard is the standard, and we're going to keep raising that standard till all the other NBA teams learn that. 50% shooting for the Miami Heat, 48% from three-point range, 45% for the Bulls, 29% from three-point range. Rebounds, 43-36 for the Miami Heat, including 9 of them on the offensive rebound. The assists, 31-21 in favor of the Miami Heat. The blocks were 7-1 Bulls. The steals were 7-2 Miami. The turnovers were 11-10. The points in the paint, 42 for the Miami Heat compared to 38 for the Chicago Bulls. As far as the Chicago Bulls, only one person stepped up in a really positive way, and that was Kobe White, 20 points with 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and a steal and a block. He was really aggressive, and he was the only Chicago Bull that wanted it. Honestly, he was the only guy that actually gave a damn about winning games. Bam Adebayo, he did really, really good. 23 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists, and a steal. He dominated the paint all night. Duncan Robinson, there was no way that anybody can contain him. 22 points, 6 for 9 from three-point land with 2 assists and 2 rebounds. Hawkins Jr. off the bench, 19 points with 3 rebounds. He was 3 for 4 from three-point land with 4 assists. And Jimmy Butler against his former team had 16 points, 6 assists, and 3 rebounds. We got a lot to learn. So any fan of the Chicago Bulls, I understand your disappointment, but I got to tell everybody the truth. The Bulls are pathetic, and we will not get better until we change our mentality. And I think our mentality is, let's just get to a slow start and dig some holes. We haven't played a complete game since Utah, and our mentality shows it. Chicago, you are pathetic. You are embarrassing, and you are a disgrace. Sell the team. I want our owners to sell the team. That's my only wish for the Bulls right now. I don't give a damn about Wednesday's game against the Oklahoma City Thunder because I already know the Chicago Bulls are going to lose. Sell the team. Sell the team. That's going to do it for today's edition of Let 'Em Know Kings United. You can find this show on Amazon Music, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Radio Public, Pandora, wherever else you want to listen to the show. Give the show a follow on those platforms. Turn on your notifications so you know about the next episode. Please rate, spread the word out to your friends, and give Let 'Em Know Kings United a 5-star review. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm your host, Skylar Weisberg, and I will see you next time for another edition of Let 'Em Know Kings United.